What's up, guys? Tim Little. Welcome back to Tactical Bass. In today's video, we're talking about the long forgotten free rig, some of my favorite ways to rig them, some of my favorite baits, and why you should be throwing one right now. Most bass fishermen still don't realize how deadly this little rig right here is, the free rig. You know, it really shines in pressured waters. It shines all around the country, and you don't hear it talked about that much anymore. A few years ago, it was all that everybody was talking about. Now everybody's talking about the jig and minnow, the Demiki rig, all that stuff. But this guy right here, the free rig, is one of my top finesse techniques all the way through fall. So what is the free rig? So basically, let me pick up a different rod for you. Basically, it is a free sliding tungsten sinker. Now, I know that we've covered this in the past. Today, we're going to talk about some different baits that I've found to really like. But basically, it is a free sliding sinker. Tie your favorite straight shank hook or EWG, favorite worm hook, whatever it is, and then your favorite soft plastic. We're going to talk about some craws today, some creature baits, and then some other different baits that work really well. But basically, this allows you to fish in and around and through vegetation, brush piles, laydowns, that sort of stuff. Being a Texas rig, it is weedless. Now the difference is, you know, we get this question asked fairly often, why not just throw an unpegged Texas rig? What's so special about the free rig is the glide or the fall, that spiral that it does, or the gliding action that that bait does. So when you raise your rod tip and you drop your rod tip and this weight goes down, boom, it's on bottom. This bait now is free, hence the name, to swim down, to kick down, to spiral down, to glide down, and that's where you get 95% of your bites. Lifting that rod tip, dropping it, and then letting that bait naturally fall to bottom. Having that drop shot style weight on there, going straight to bottom, vertical, straight to bottom, unresisted, and then having that bait kind of glide down to bottom is what makes the free rig so magical. And we're going to talk about special weights and hooks and all that sort of stuff. But for you beginners, if you've never heard about a free rig, that's what it is. You can take a bobber stop and put it up, you know, 3 or 4 feet up ahead if you want to limit the range that your weight has, the movement that it has, kind of like a Carolina rig. But again, dropping that rod tip and then letting this bait swim down to bottom or glide down to bottom is what makes that thing so special. So now that you guys understand what the free rig is, let's talk about the setup basically. Now, this can be fished on a spinning rod, your favorite spinning rod, your favorite finesse rod, or a Baitcaster. I typically like throwing more of the craws and the creature style baits, the fluke style baits, craws and creatures on a Baitcaster. Basically, you take your favorite, we're gonna talk about baits here in just a second, take your favorite creature bait, fire it out there. Again, what's so special about this is letting it fall in slack line, letting that letting that weight crash down, and then whatever bait, depending on your selection, however it swims or glides or falls, letting it get down to bottom. This one right here, this is the Missile Baits Baby Destroyer. So it's like a D-bomb body that likes to glide a lot, kind of that ribbed profile, but then it has 2 long tentacles that kind of just twist on their way down. So that kind of keels it out and lets it fall straight down. It kind of swims down. But basically, I'm on bottom. I can drag it, drop my rod tip, let it fall, or I can lift up, again, let it fall, let that thing swim down to bottom. It gives this bait a different action than a pegged Texas rig setup or an unpegged Texas rig setup. That weight has more freedom, more freer movement per se than you would on an unpegged Texas rig with like a bullet weight. But Again, I'm fishing this thing around brush, through brush, around grass, especially this time of the year. We have grass dying back. So I might be fishing around dock pilings or laydowns. If I'm fishing a grass line, again, I'm letting that thing fall on slack line. That weight's down there, still falling. Now it's tight on bottom. Might give it a little bit of drag, just a little bit of movement. Let it sit. Again, you can fish this on bottom like you would your favorite jig or your favorite Carolina rig, shaky head, whatever you want to throw. But the benefit is up, drop it, let it fall. So that bait just popped up. I dropped my rod tip. Now it's doing its thing straight down vertically. If we're throwing a glide bait, a gliding bait, we'll talk about that here shortly. That thing's gonna glide down, and I get a lot of bites this time of year, letting that thing just fish. Swim like a dying bait fish down to bottom. So it's really, really easy to fish. It's a great rig to throw, tie on for a beginner bass fisherman. It's fairly weedless. It's really, really easy to fish. Again, like I said, you can fish it so many ways, but having that free sliding weight out ahead of that bait is what makes this whole setup so key. So the setup itself, I kind of talked about how you rig it. I like to throw like a 6'10" to a 7'2" medium power fast action rod. Basically something that's fairly light that I can throw an 1/8 ounce or a 3/16 1/4 ounce weight on. I'm not throwing real heavy stuff. I might get up to like a 3/8, but typically throwing like a lighter bait casting setup with braid to leader, 30-40 pound braid to a 12 to 20 pound fluorocarbon leader, depending on what I'm fishing around. But again, the weight itself, you can take your favorite drop shot weight, like your cylinder style drop shot weight, like this guy right here. It works great. Recently, since doing this video last year, I found this weight by Decoy. This actually has a rubber insert, so it doesn't actually, I feel like it doesn't add any friction or damage to your line. That's a cool little tungsten weight. I use depending on the bait, I will use, this is actually a 1/0 cover shot HD, so a little bit stouter of a hook, straight shank hook. I want to be able to jack them with this Baitcaster. If I do hook a big one, I don't want to worry about that hook flexing out. But basically, straight shank hook. You can get away with your favorite worm hook, but that is really the setup for the Baitcaster. As far as a spinning rod, again, same thing, 6'10", 7'2". You can go with a little bit longer spinning rod. Here I have, we're going to talk about this bait here shortly. This is a new bait to the market. This is the Sling Shad by Megabass, a very, very soft jerk bait. I did put a bobber stop on this one, about 3 feet. So basically, throw this thing out there, right? Weight's down at bottom. This thing's just kind of gliding. It's doing its thing. It's doing its dying bait fish thing, right? What makes that? What makes that the free rig so special? Now that my bait is on bottom, I can do a pop, drop that rod tip, so that bait shoots off, and then right back down to bottom. That vertical straight up, straight down. You're not covering a ton of distance. You're not covering a ton of distance to you, but you can get real erratic with that. I'm getting bit. Must be like a little bluegill or something, little white bass. But you can get real erratic depending on the baits that you're throwing. So we're going to talk about that as well. But yeah, that little Sling Shad, it's really, really soft. That Whiplash Shad is really good as well. Rigging it Texas rig with a 3/0 Superline hook will increase this fall speed on this Sling Shad. I actually have, I'm sitting here fishing instead of paying attention to you guys. I have a straight shank, a 1/0 straight shank hook in it, so it's exposed. I fish this around open water. I fish this around busting fish. I fish it around A lot of times this time of the year, the fish are all about the bait. So they're chasing the bait ball around. They might be sitting off this point right here, and when the bait ball comes around, they come up, they blow up on the surface. Well, when they're down there on bottom, I can throw this bait down there and get real erratic with it and trigger bites. But I like to have that sling shad. Again, it's newer to the market. I'm still learning it. I really like how soft it is. It's in that same fluke category, but it is super soft. It feels a lot like a depth Sakamata shad without the wings. It looks really, really good in the water. And then also the whiplash shad. This thing falls so well. It has that Cinco shimmy to it. It's just lights out on the free rig. I don't know that I've actually talked about throwing a fluke or a soft plastic jerk bait style of bait on the free rig before, but it works extremely well. Again, with that little guy, I actually put a bobber stop on there. I don't know if you guys can see this, but it actually limits how far down that weight can go before it reaches like that 3-foot leader, and now it's pulling my bait down. I can fish it faster. I can limit how much play is in that bait. But again, 3 feet is a lot for this thing to glide down to bottom. Again, I'm getting fishing it really quickly, fishing it really aggressively, but that thing is key. So as far as the spinning rod, just like the Baitcaster, 6'10" to 7'2", medium light, medium power, fast action rod, typically a 2500 or a 3000 size reel, braid to leader. I like throwing the braid to leader. The braid has more sensitivity, it lasts longer, it doesn't have any memory, so I can just change out my leader depending on where I'm going. I could go from a 10-pound leader to a 14-pound leader to a 12-pound leader to whatever, depending on the bait that I'm throwing. But I like to have a longer leader, so depending on the depth I'm fishing, if I'm fishing, you know, let's say shallow to 6 or 8 feet, I might have like a 6 or 8 foot leader. If I'm fishing 10 to 25, I might have a 20-foot leader. I don't want those fish to see that connection knot before they see my bait. So I expand my leader distance depending on the depth that I plan on fishing. All right, so now that we talked about the free rig, we talked about how to rig it, we talked about the gear, kind of talked about how to fish it, the retrieves, but I'll kind of show you real quickly. This guy right here, this is the X Zone. That's the little adrenaline craw. Those of you guys that follow the channel know how much damage I did on that the last couple years. Again, this is a bait that you can, or this is a technique that you can flip and pitch around shallow grass lines, in and around brush piles, in and around under docks. Having this little adrenaline craw, it has a ton of action on the feet, on the kickers. So as it kicks down, it's on bottom, I might just drag it a little bit, let it sit there, check. And these tungsten weights it's so important to throw the tungsten because you can feel every little, I'm on a little shell bar right here, I can feel the rocks, the little shell bed, but it's really important for your sensitivity. You can get away with the lead ones, they're quite a bit cheaper, but as far as sensitivity, it's really hard to beat that tungsten. But I might pop up and then let it drop. Again, if I'm fishing open water, I'm fishing it a lot like snapping a jig or hopping a jig. But if I'm fishing it around something, a dock piling, a laydown, whatever, I'm just gonna flip and pitch this thing out there, let it fall. It's so important to let this thing fall on slack line. That lets that bait have no resistance and it does its swim or its kick down naturally. That's what makes this so different than the Texas rig. Having it pegged, that weight pulls that bait down there, and having the slow fall is really key on pressured fish, clear water, that sort of thing. So I'm down on bottom, might lift up, let it fall, and just spooked a bunch of bait. So that was just one drag, came up about 4 or 5 feet, now I'm letting it fall again. Okay, once I'm off of that tree or stump or whatever I was fishing, then it's on to the next thing. But that's basically the retrieves. You can drag it, you can fish it, hop it like a Carolina rig, like a Texas rig. It just has that straight back down fall. And then you can also swim it on bottom if you want, just do the slow reel. You can do that with some of the kicking style baits. But again, I like to get fairly aggressive, let it hop, let it fall, let it sit there. It's swimming down, now it's on bottom, lift up, check, pop, pop, let it fall, and just do that. That's kind of how I like to fish the free rig. So let's talk about the baits. Now, I kind of mentioned some of them already. I've shown you guys a few of them already, but let's talk about some of the different styles of baits. Because again, this free rig works extremely well, whether you're fishing grass lines, in grass, out in open water, lay downs. Now, depending on where you're fishing, there's different styles of baits to fish. So let's cover the ones that I've covered in the past, and then I'll show you some new ones that I really, really like. I've had, number one, I've had the most success on this guy right here. That's the Adrenaline Craw. It's the junior. So it's a 3.5 inch bait, fairly small. Again, you can throw the full size if you want, a little bit larger weight, a little bit larger profile, but that 3.5 in that green pumpkin blue has been the best producing free rig bait for me. Okay, you guys know how much I like that, how many fish I've caught on it through the last couple years. 2 summers ago, that was my go-to. I caught so many big spots and largemouth on that bait right there. Again, it's all in the kick, how it swims down. There are a ton of craw baits on the market. That one, it just works for me. So that one works really well. The other one that works really well is this guy right here, the Bellows Shad. Okay, that's the 3.8. I'm gonna do it for you guys. These things are nasty. They're so juicy and garlicky, but you can see that's a ribbed shad profile. So I like to rig this flat side down. And again, I'm throwing this in open water, out off of breaks, channel swings, lay downs. Again, I'm letting this thing fall, and that's gonna do that big death spiral glide that we all love, and it just works so well. What's cool about this bait, when you go to reel that bait in, it actually kicks, that tail kicks, so it swims away. But if you're looking for a bait that does that kind of death spiral, just kind of meandering, dying bait fish, that guy is awesome. Let me put this thing back before I get everything else all greasy. I've talked about that in previous videos. I have a ton of confidence in it. And then the other one I've talked about is the other one I have rigged up, the Baby Destroyer. Now you can throw the full-on Destroyer. This is by Missile Baits. Like I said, it's another ribbed bait. This body really likes to glide. If you want to throw just the Missile Baits, the D-bomb, that thing glides extremely well. But like I said earlier, this thing has those 2 little kicker feet down there, and they just kind of rotate like this. Okay, it's just that little bit different action, and it works extremely well. Those are my go-tos. Those are my top 3 baits that I've thrown through the years and had a ton of success on. Now I'm gonna give you a couple other options real quick. We talked about this guy, okay, the Sling Shad. You saw how I had it rigged with that nose, or basically exposed hook. Let me show you again. Just a straight shank hook with the hook coming out the top. That's how I like to fish it in open water with fish that are chasing bait. If I'm fishing it in and around brush or grass, I will rig it with your a 3/0 Superline hook, and then it's weedless, but you still get that same great action. And then same with the Whiplash Shad. Just 2 different baits, different actions. This one will do the glide. It does more of that Cinco shimmy, where this does more of the side to side kind of aggressive gliding action. This thing fishes more. I mean, it does great. I love this thing, throwing it on. That is my go-to soft plastic jerk bait, and it has that Cinco shimmy to it, like I said. But 2 different baits. They're both really, really good. And then as far as 2 other baits that I haven't ever talked about, one I don't know that I've ever seen or heard anybody talk about. It's actually fishing your favorite finesse swim bait on a free rig. Again, that up and down action, that bait's coming up, it's dropping, it's falling, but most importantly, it's swimming. That tail kick is going out over here. Let me take this guy off real quick and I'll show you. It is really important if you are going to fish a paddle style swim bait that you do put that bobber stop out. Give yourself a 2 or 3 foot leader. That limits the range of that drop shot weight. And then once it hits that bobber stop, now it's pulling on that bait to swim down, and that's what makes that bait kick. So fishing vertically, fishing around the faces of dams, fishing around bluff walls, that sort of stuff. But fishing your favorite, that's actually the Crush City, the mayor, but fishing your favorite finesse paddle tail works extremely well. Again, you can just straight retrieve it and it swims just like a normal swim bait. You drop that rod tip straight down and it swims down slower than it would with a traditional swim bait or jig head on it. And then last but not least, one more, guys, that's worked really well for me. This is actually the Slinko by Yamamoto. Make sure I open this right so they don't all dump out. This is basically, come on. It's like a ribbed Senko, okay? You can rig it Texas rig, you can rig it wacky rig, but having that fall, having that extra ribbed vibration, that movement in the water is what makes this stand out as far as a straight tail worm. That's the 3.25. They come all the way up. You can throw it in a normal 5 or 6 inch size, but that guy right there is an awesome alternative to some of the other ribbed baits. Again, this is going to glide down. It's not, as you get into the larger ones, it's going to do more of that Senko traditional fall, but the smaller one, it's going to kind of move all over the place. That guy has been really good for me as well. But guys, the free rig, it's just one of those techniques that isn't talked about much anymore. And from now, like the end of summer all the way into winter, it is my go-to finesse technique. And the last couple of years, it just has really produced for me, whether I'm up shallow around grass edges or I'm around laydowns. I need something weedless that I can flip or pitch through, but I want that delayed fall. Or I'm actually out fishing offshore, a main lake point, a rock pile. I'm fishing that like you normally would a jig. I pop it up, drop that rod tip, and let that thing swim down or glide down. Has produced a lot of bites for me. As far as colors, guys, I typically, like clear water, I'm going like your green pumpkins, green pumpkin blue. If I'm throwing the soft plastic jerk bait, I'm going with like an electric shad, or this guy right here is called Ablette. More of like your bait fish sparkle colors. And then the creature and the craws, I'm going more of like your craw patterns, your green pumpkin, black flake, that sort of stuff. Dingier water, you can go black, blue. But I typically, for me, my confidence in the free rig is better with pressured waters and clearer waters. That's just my experience. Down below in the video description, I'll link all these baits, favorite colors, sizes of hooks, weights, all that stuff. You don't need anything special. Your favorite 6'8" to 7'2" spinning rod or Baitcaster will work extremely well. Again, braid to leader, 1/8 ounce to a 1/4 ounce drop shot hook or drop shot weight, and then your favorite straight shank hook for the weedless technique, and your favorite nose hook for the exposed hook technique will get the job done. You basically can use your already the drop shot stuff you own to fish this technique. But guys, that is the free rig. It's an amazing technique to fish this time of the year, whether you're up shallow or out deep, exposed hook or weedless. It is a fish catching technique. Keep the colors simple, fish it fast, fish it aggressive, and you guys will catch more fish through this summer and into fall transition. Guys, as always, we appreciate the support. If you learned something from this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and we will see you guys on the next video.